Well, it's now been the best part of 2 months since our last win here with Jahn Regensburg in the 2 Bundesliga. Only 4 games left before the winter break, and we're the third worst team in terms of goal scoring. Fingers crossed today we find a way to turn that round before I do some tactic testing during the winter break. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 41 of Rookie to Rorty here on Shaun Does FM with Jahn Regensburg. I hope you're doing well. And come up day, we've got St. Pauli at home and also Hannover, 2 of our last 4 games before we hit the much needed winter break for our squad here at Jahn Regensburg, because we are so mid, it's not funny. And this one comes off the back of yesterday's episode. We've played 2 games since then, but yesterday we took on Magdeburg and Mainz. We picked up some draws, had to change tactic in that Mainz game, because we went 2-0 down quite early. A fluid counter-attack thankfully did pay off, but if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Since then, we did try the fluid counter-attack thing, as it worked quite well in that Mainz game to make sure we picked up something from that one. We picked up a 1-1 draw against Grufer Fürth, which honestly, not that great a result considering that those guys all the way down in 17th. Deep inside of that relegation zone. So a bit disappointed with that result at home. A bit of a turnaround there from how good we looked with that fluid counter-attack in that Mainz game. And then we gave away a penalty in the second half after grabbing an equaliser through Stewart. Finally gets to score another goal here at Jahn Regensburg to make sure that Kaiserslautern had the chance to beat us 2-1. So unfortunately, just can't get a tactic here currently that picks up points consistently, and more important, actually gets us scoring quite a few goals. There's lots of chopping and changing here currently with this Jahn Regensburg team to try and make sure we're picking up anything from all these games, and it's not quite working. The Gegenpress was doing a good job there in that Nuremberg Dynamo Dresden stretch back in August, but since then it's been extremely mixed, and I can't quite find anything that works consistently. So it's been really frustrating here this first part of the season at Jahn Regensburg. Thankfully, we're just picking up enough points to make sure that we're still relatively safely away from the relegation zone. 9 points there for Elversberg, and for Grufer Fürth we're up there on 16. But these days we have dropped down to 12, and to be fair, only 3 wins from our 13 games is not too good. Thankfully, we've only lost 3. There's been a ton of draws, so it's really been a weird first season here at Jahn Regensburg. Stewart has not done too well since coming in, it's fair to say. A 6.86 average rating his last 5 games, which to be fair, isn't actually that bad. I think he's starting to pick things up ever so slightly, but 2 goals in 7 games for a guy we spent £2.6 million on, not exactly what we were hoping for. Was thinking he might do a little bit better, so fingers crossed that during the course of today's episode, or even off the back of the winter break, which is coming up soon, then maybe we can find a tactic which is a bit more attacking minded and we can start to score goals. That's definitely our issue here currently with the Jahn Regensburg team. Going back to the home screen, third worst goal scoring. Goals conceded actually not that bad. Defensively, we're quite solid. It's just the goal scoring which is the problem. Another problem we've got going into the 2 games in today's episode. First up, we take on St. Pauli, all the way up in second, and in some really good form. So honestly, not expecting too much from this game apart from the fact that it is at home. So hopefully can actually find a way to maybe win this game. But these guys, a really good team captained by Jack Snurvine, the Australian international, who looks a heck of a lot better than any players on our squad, even at 34 years old. So this will actually be quite a tough test for us here, even at the Jahn Stadion Regensburg, and especially because if you check our injury list here, there's a bit of a common theme. We've got a lot of injuries off the back of yesterday's episode. Thankfully, Facundo Garcia, Issa Abbas, and Brighton Booker are all back from recent ones. But on the left-hand side, we've got 5 different centre-backs who currently have injuries. Cheers FM. Marco Rente, the most serious, with a broken foot. He's gone for 3 to 4 months. He's one of our backups, but still, we've been quite handy to have him. Just any centre-backs currently, be fair, with this situation. Florian Carstens is out with pulled ankle ligaments for 8 days to 2 weeks. That's already 2 centre-backs that we're missing. Lukas Subotic isn't too far away. Fingers crossed might be back in time for the second game in today's episode. He's out for a further 6 days to 2 weeks, and that is with a 5-strain. Levente Bracchi, we called up from our B team. Then he pulled his hamstring. He's also out for 6 days to 2 weeks. And so he's a bit of an average player, but better than anyone else down there in our B team. and to cap things off, Justin Hubner, a twisted ankle, out for 4 to 9 days. So that is every single one of our centre-backs here currently at Jahn Regensburg that I've put in to the first team since yesterday's episode. So definitely short on centre-backs for this first game in today's episode. Thankfully, as you'll see shortly, got a couple of people who can cover that area of the field. And while we're at it, Richmond Tashi twisted his ankle a little while ago and will miss this first game, but he should be back in time for when we come back to take on Hannover. So that definitely hasn't been helping our struggles to pick up a win over the course of the last month or so, but it does mean going into this first game of today's episode, we're trying out here the centre-back partnership of Joshua Bitter, who can do a bit of a job there, is quite tall at 1.86 metres, alongside Racine Bullock, who honestly, I'm surprised I didn't try there earlier at 1.96 metres tall. So the beef of those two should be okay, but certainly not ideal considering all those players that we do have injured. And also technically we are going with a cautious 4-2-3-1. I've just torn up all my tactics here at this point and going with very basic base game things and what it recommends we do. So it means that Racine Bullock for this one will play as a ball-playing defender, 2 midfielders there on defend in defensive midfield, and the attacking midfielders all on support. Layden Stewart and advanced forward on attack. Let's hope that he can score some goals here as we go a bit more cautious and just see what a slightly higher tempo might do for us here with this Jahn Regensburg team. So fingers crossed there, this gets something out of our squad. But as I said, I'm really going to need to get some friendlies scheduled during the course of the winter break and try out quite a few new tactics and see which one might actually work with this Jahn Regensburg team. But hopefully the fluid counter-attack will do a decent job again there. There's that centre-back partnership, which is definitely makeshift. Also, it means that Garcia comes in the ball-wing midfield role. And as well as that, we've got Brighton Booker at right wing, seeing as, of course, that injury to Richmond Tashi. We've actually called up someone else here from our B team to play centre-back. We'll see if we can give him a better number there in Lassian, but no, he'll have to cop number 40 here for his potential debut at Jahn Regensburg. But he is about our 8th choice centre-back who could get a run in this game. So if that doesn't say that we're struggling in that position, I don't know what is. We will actually check in on Buxton at the end of today's episode before that winter break and see how they're doing off the back of us leaving them at the end of last season. I'm kind of hopeful that they're solid mid-table as well, because if they're doing quite well, that would kind of sting a little bit considering how much I'm struggling here with this Jahn Regensburg team. But fingers crossed that maybe something will work here in these last couple of games before the winter break, and that might be all we need to try once we come back. That might be the secret weapon that actually gets us starting to win a few games, because at this point, really, the draws are super frustrating. I'd actually rather prefer if we won a game than lost a game, because you get more points that way instead of always picking up draws. It is super frustrating here how we're going with this Jahn Regensburg team, but I suppose the morale doesn't get too bad if you don't lose as much. And also Gardino is now happy, so Charlie Allen can start this game. We fulfilled that promise, but an early corner here, can't quite pick out Bullock there at the near post. It goes back out though to Acer. That shot might have taken a bit of a deflection, but thankfully he puts that one away past Lace, and we take a 1-0 lead at home at the 15-minute mark. So fingers crossed here, this cautious fluid counter-attack might actually work. Abbas there, some good work. Definite deflection there from the player who is in front of the goalkeeper, but thankfully we score that goal and take a 1-0 lead. And so far, stats-wise, not actually looking too bad either. Some fingers crossed that continues during this game. But now it is St. Pauli here who are on the attack in that brown uniform. Norby will play that one forward there to Lutski down the left-hand side. Of course, Norby, we had him at RB Leipzig in the clock bot save. Have seen a few of those players now over the course of the last couple of episodes. Unfortunately, that clearance from Lukic, there's no one deep enough to get that ball back for us. Are playing here quite a low defensive line on this fluid counter-attack. They try and put a ball there far post. Thankfully, that one does go well wide, and we hold on to our 1-0 lead. So far, we're looking okay here currently with this fluid counter-attack. Of course, it did work in that Mines game, so I was hoping it would do well here. Just a bit frustrating that we lost to Kaiserslautern with the 4-3-3, but to be fair, stats-wise, not too bad. Just gave away a silly penalty, which did allow them a chance to win that game, and they did. But for some reason there, one of our players hasn't cleared the ball. It's gone straight through his legs, and Malio can put that one away and make it 1-1. Seriously, what's going on with this team? Some of them are absolutely useless. Here's a Metcher who is on the ball. There's a guy there. It's Malik. He just needs to get in the way. He's pretty much there to do it, but for some reason, he can't stop the ball. A simple tap in there for St. Pauli, and they equalise. So off the back of a pretty good start to this game. It's quite even stats-wise, but unfortunately, as we do, we're locked up at 1-1 with another team. Fingers crossed we can find a way here in the second half to pick up all 3 points. Not doing too badly, just really frustrated at the way that we conceded that goal, because really Manrik should be able to deal with that danger. Feels like all the luck's going against us here currently with this Jahn Regensburg team. Will tell the guys that if they keep working hard, hopefully they'll do quite well. I'm actually quite happy with how they're playing. Just that defensive effort there from Manrik left a lot to be desired, but let's see here what happens during the course of the second half. As Abbas picks up a yellow card, but going quite well, so just get him there to ease off tackles. But now Facundo Garcia on a yellow card, he's not going quite so well. So with our first sub, Geipel can come on for him, the experienced defensive midfielder, who I think is retiring at the end of the season. I'm pretty sure that came through off the back of yesterday's episode. Now St. Pauli here with a corner, which thankfully we get a chance here to hit away and actually find Brighton Booker here in some space down our right hand side. What can he do here? Starts to cut inside, but unfortunately a good tackle there from Ali, and St. Pauli do get back on the ball. So unfortunately, even then with a good chance on the counter attack, we can't quite take it. I'm trying here to hold in my hiccups because I can feel them coming on, but hopefully can get through this game and get those hiccups out the way. I'll play the next one off camera before we come back for the Hannover one. But now we are back on the counter attack here. Abbas with a ball over the top. Stewart there is a mile offside, of course. He puts it away, throwing his third goal of the season, because it's not going to count, you silly Englishman. You strayed there an absolute mile offside. It won't count. So Leighton Stewart continues to be pretty rubbish here at Jahn Regensburg. That's probably the reason that our goal scoring has been so poor. Him and also Walden, he hasn't scored now for 11 games or hours. Our strikers in some terrible form here at Jahn Regensburg. One of the reasons that we're struggling and we're so far down that goal scoring chart. We'll bring on here Paul Fernandez for Bitter and Stewart on 6.4. Let's see if Lewis Walden can finally break that goal scoring drought. But really, we're getting the chances here to try and beat these guys, just not quite taking them, which sums up the current feeling here at Jahn Regensburg. Is now we're about to make our way the final 20 or so minutes, and Christian VA drops down to a red hearts. Rassian can come on for him, and Pau Fernandez can go out to right back, and also struggling is Hamburger on a 6.4. So our final sub, Hein, will come on there at left back. So a change down both our flanks. Let's see if that helps us out late here in this game stats wise. It's been relatively even, which is quite good to see. I do like that in my tactics in general, but for some reason, just can't quite here get the job done and put the chances away with our struggling strikers. We make our way into 5 minutes of added time. We get a good little boost in stats, and now late throw-in, and Geipel does get on the attack. We'll try and curve that one into the left-hand corner, and Lace comes up there with a big save. So unfortunately, can't quite put that one away there through the 35-year-old to make it 2-1. We'll now get a chance, though, from set piece with only 1 minute left of this game. Manrik, for some reason, takes a ton of time, tries to pick out Bullich, which is a good idea at 1.96 meters, but unfortunately doesn't get ahead to it. Geipel then picks up a yellow card, and that will do it for that game. To be fair, usually a point against second in the league I'll be quite happy with, but the goal we conceded was super soft, so a bit disappointed there with that 1-1 draw. It continues a very long-standing theme now here at Jahn Regensburg that we can only pick up draws, we can't win games. So that's now becoming a real concern, as I said, I'm desperate now for this winter break to try and schedule some friendlies and test some tactics. But before then, we've got 3 more games. We've got one coming up off camera. Can't quite remember who that was against, truth be told. We'll come back shortly and show you guys what happened in that one before we come back and take on Hannover, who are up in third. And we've gone for about 3 weeks off back of that first game in today's episode. Thankfully, a bit of an international break, quite well timed considering all those centre-back injuries that we did have, and you missed absolutely nothing here. A 4-0 draw away at Darmstadt, which, to be fair again, not that bad a result, but we still can't win games and we still can't score goals. But yet again, we pick up a point quite handy on the 2 Bundesliga tablers. Now we're 6 points clear of group of fifths. To be fair, I think that gap actually has closed by a point during the course of today's episode. but we've moved up to 10th. So actually, have moved up the table, but are a bit closer on points to the team in that relegation promotion game involving the Free League. So that's actually a little bit of a concern now. 9 draws this season, 3 wins and 3 losses. So that certainly is not ideal. But what is ideal is our medical centre is a lot tighter. You can see now it's just Marco Rente still out with that broken foot. And as you would have seen, Tim Hamburger got injured in that Darmstadt game. A groin strain, finally nailed that one. That was about my 4th take, but he's out for 2 to 4 weeks. That's a little bit of a blow, but thankfully in an area where we've got a fair bit of cover with someone like Paul Fernandez who can cover on both sides. So thankfully can put out here a much stronger defensive line for the second game of today's episode, where we take on Hannover, who have fallen down the table to 7th. So those guys actually have dropped down quite a bit off the back of that first game that we did play. You can see their form there. They beat Arminia Bitterfeld 5-1, but around that, they've been dropping points left, right and centre. So fingers crossed, this is actually a game at home where you might be able to win, but you will have seen it before. Our recent form against these guys, not very good. A lot of red dots. So we'll see how this one goes. We're still the 3rd worst team in terms of goals scored. Defence is pretty good though. That's actually improving. So I'm not too sure really why we can't score goals currently. As I said, desperately need the winter break to sort out some tactics here that actually score some goals with this Jahn Regensburg team. But fingers crossed here, we might be able to pick up a win against a struggling Hannover team, especially with a much stronger lineup. The only rotation player coming in is Hein at left back. Apart from that, it's our overall best team. It's a lot stronger than we were for that first game against St. Pauli. If we can put out a similar type of performance with these guys on the decline a little bit, I'd like to think we could actually potentially pick up our first win. And now the best part of 2.5 months. It's been a long time. You can see there, in our last 5 games, we've only lost 1, but we've drawn 4. Really struggling to pick up the green dots here at Jahn Regensburg, and especially at home as well. That's the most disappointing thing. We can't really make the most of our home advantage. Doesn't seem to matter if we're playing at home or away. We just love a draw, which to be fair, could be worse. It's not too bad for dynamics, but also I'd quite like to rip into these guys at some stage if they do get bettered in a game as well. Currently, it's one of those classic Manchester United unbeaten streaks. They don't lose in about 4 or 5 games, but they also don't move up the table that much. It feels like that sort of situation here at Jahn Regensburg, and it might not be helped here as the first highlight. Hannover have a free kick, Hussein here from a dangerous angle. That one takes a bit of a deflection, but thankfully it comes off the woodwork. Not too sure if Lukic got a touch on that one, but thankfully we keep it at 0-0. But the stats from that previous game, which was at Darmstadt, weren't too great. I'm hopeful back here at home they'll be a bit better, even though we are sticking with this cautious 4-2-3-1 fluid counter-attack at the moment. I'm not too sure if the shape even matters. We're just so out of sorts here with this Jahn Regensburg team. Siev there with a wonderful bit of footwork, but thankfully a great save from Lukic to keep this one at 0. Also, our goalkeeper so far coming up big on a couple of occasions from the set piece. They float that one far post. Thankfully this time Manrique actually does something with his feet inside the box, clears it away, and Leighton Stewart did win us a free kick there. I think it was him, to be fair. That's about the best thing he's done for us so far this season, because he isn't really scoring goals. Very disappointed by the effort so far of our £2.6 million man as we make our way towards the last 10 minutes here of this first half at home. Yet to really have an attack, but fingers crossed this might be the one. Teshi there inside the box. Now that better be a stone cold penalty, because Stewart should have squared that one, and it would have been a pretty big chance for us there through someone like Acer Abbas. So VAR, you better give this penalty, because seriously, if the referee's blown that up and it's no penalty, that's a big chance that's gone begging for us there inside the box of VAR. Go and get screwed, you absolute disgrace. You're ruining the game. And honestly, Jahn Regensburg, you're ruining my journeyman save. Honestly, you guys are absolute toilet. Should never have left you for Buxton. Absolutely woeful. It's a much better league, and they're paying me a lot more, but let's be real, money in Football Manager means absolutely nothing. We'll take off Bilic here at halftime for Garcia on that yellow card. Also Walden up front and Brighton Booker at right wing for Teshi coming back from injury. But the referee is now also against us at halftime here. Let's go on to a balanced mentality and also see if putting Manrique onto support instead of defender. Might just get us going a little bit more further forward, but I'm pretty annoyed at that penalty situation because I thought we actually could have scored a goal if he didn't blow that one up. So I'm a bit filthy about the refereeing there. Good old VAR, but a good foot in there from Brighton Booker. Unfortunately, Allen tries to pass that one clear, and there's a body in the way, so it does mean that Hannover can get back on the ball. Hussein here starts to cut inside, plays that one back to Drew on that right-hand side. Kunze now plays this centrally to Christensen. A bit of space here for Zenta down the left-hand side. They square that one for Armindo Seb. They put that one away. Fingers crossed this time VAR might help us out, but I don't think so. A sliding tackle there from one of our defenders. It was a little bit interesting, nowhere near the ball. And we go 1-0 down. Oh dear, there's just nothing going our way here currently with this Jahn Regensburg team. Zenta plays that ball forward. Rossman puts it into the mixer. And Hubner slide tackles the wrong way. He goes away from the ball. So unfortunately, some interesting defending. I'm going to skip that replay. Don't need to see it. I'm sick of watching us concede some stupid goals. This team is really frustrating at this point. I'm trying a lot of different things here to try and fix them. None of them are working. So while we're here, we might switch late on potentially to a gegenpress and also Galdino for Charlie Allen. We'll put here the striker onto an advanced forward because I'm not too sure if the pressing forward actually will suit someone like Lewis Walden. But we've gone 1-0 down. To be fair, attack-wise, we've hit 0 shots, even though there was that very interesting penalty decision that got overruled when we probably could have actually scored a goal if play continues. Kind of feeling a bit screwed so far in this game. We've now got one shot off, but after 70 minutes, that's not too great to be fair. Sporting Kansas City got no shots off today in real life, and they won a game. But Asabas I was going to take off. There's no real replacement options, so instead Christian Valley on a 7.5 will take off, not for Bitter, but for Paul Fernandes, because of course we did sign him to be the first choice right back for this upcoming season. Also, we might try Walden in that pressing forward role late and just see if that might do something here in this game. We've got a free kick right off the back of that. Brighton Booker gets the ball here down our right-hand side, plays it back here to Paul Fernandes up there to Galdino, who beats their goalkeeper at the near post. It's a gegenpress, which will work for us, and we pick up a goal. I'm seriously getting over the fact that with about 20 minutes left in each game, I change our tactics and we start scoring. It would be really nice if we score goals with the tactic I started matches with, because the same formation is just some slightly different instructions, but for some reason, we can't keep a consistent run of form going if I back up what we did well once I change a tactic and use it at the start of our next game. So I'm getting really sick here of this Jahn Regensburg team. They're pretty annoying. How inconsistent they are, but a chance for us here to try and make our way out from back and hopefully actually find a way to pick up a win in this game off the back of the equaliser. But unfortunately, a good tackle there in Hannover back on the ball. Chlu makes his way down that right-hand side, somehow keeps that ball. It goes in there to Seb, who pulls it back for Hussein. It takes a deflection, an own goal by Florian Carstens. Our defence is absolutely woeful, no matter what tactic that we use, and we will continue to drop points at home, it feels like here, because we've gone 2-1 down with only 14 minutes left. That one, it must have been going wide, because Carstens gets credited with the own goal. So again, we go down here at home to a team who weren't going too well before this game, and now there's a throw-in, but it is for us, albeit deep inside our half. It's a terrible throw-in though, and Vidovic is on the ball, but thankfully Garcia, he does track back, and Lukic, not a bad pass there, even though Fernandes wasn't looking for it, but that Fernandes pass is a shocker, and Hannover are back on the ball. But Abbas there with some good work now. Gardino can find Brighton Booker, who was in a ton of space, but that touch is like an elephant, and Zenta can get back on the ball. So unfortunately, just no good play from us here currently with the Jahn Regensburg team, and we remain 2-1 down late here in this home game in Hannover. Now getting a quite decent stretch on the ball, but good work there from Brighton Booker to win that ball back. Gardino starts to make his way forward, plays it in there to Lewis Walden, who picks up, hopefully, his first goal in a long time. If he stayed on site, it was a really good finish there with some help from the underside of the crossbar, and we equalise. So thankfully, getting some goals here with this gegenpress, and even a goal from Walden is a pressing forward on support, which honestly I wasn't expecting as a role which would get him to work, seeing as he's not even on attack. But Gardino, some real impact from him since coming off the bench. Maybe need to leave him in there in that attacking midfield role, a goal and an assist, which hopefully means we'll at least pick something up from this game. But again, I kind of would prefer if we just won a game, then lost the next one, because you get more points that way. Yet again, we pick up a draw. We have full Manchester United from a couple of years ago when Ollie was in charge, and they'd go on these ridiculous draw runs and not move up the table because it's Manchester United. We feel like the Manchester United currently of the two Bundesliga with not quite the same reputation. We just can't win games, but we're very good at not losing games either, so that's a bit frustrating. Under significant pressure for most of the match. That's annoying as well. I do like styles. We're actually dominating games currently. Doesn't seem like those suit us here at Jahn Regensburg, but thankfully a switch there to a gegenpress, and we come from behind and pick up yet another draw against Hannover. So 3 more draws for us there during the course of today's episode. You can see there, we've actually dropped a spot now, gone down to 11th, but we have moved 7 points clear of group of first. So to be fair, not much change here in terms of our gap over the teams inside that relegation zone during the course of today's episode. Thankfully, we are picking up these draws. Otherwise, we'd be down there pretty close to those teams, if not for that. So thankfully, we aren't losing these games. But also, as I said a few times now, would be quite nice if we won the odd one as well. Would actually probably help us out in terms of the amount of points that we do have. But certainly, we're very mid-table here at Jahn Regensburg. Just 1 game left before the winter break, and that's against Paderborn. I actually think we could win that one if we find a tactic, which is the big issue here currently with Jahn Regensburg. Our tactics, they just aren't working. We'll see maybe what the gegenpress does for that next game. Even might try something a bit wild for that game and just see if that might be what we need to use when we come back from the winter break. But currently, just nothing working with these 4-2-3-1s. Maybe we actually do need a change in shape, despite the fact that this really should be the shape that suits us with the signings that we did make going in to the start of the season. But currently, this team is confusing me all sorts. Let's hope when we come back for tomorrow's episode of Found a Tactic that actually suits them. And before I wrap things up from yesterday's episode, Shaun from the future here, I forgot to do the whole Buxton check. So hopefully I'm on the screen I was on here during the course of yesterday's episode. But let's check in and see how our former club are getting on, seeing as we're doing so poorly here at Jahn Regensburg. I say poorly, honestly, we're not doing too badly, but Buxton, let's check in and see how they're doing. They're 3rd in League 2, despite the fact they were supposed to finish in 23rd. To be fair, the recent form not too great, so they're sliding down that table a little bit. So to be fair, they've actually done quite well there with Adam Little in charge, with not much experience, and honestly, attribute-wise, he's not much worse than what we were when we were at Buxton. To be fair, though, does have a much higher licence in a Continental A studying or a Continental Pro, but Buxton, they sit 3rd in League 2, so honestly, they're doing a little bit better than when I was there last season, which is a little bit frustrating. So unfortunately, Buxton look like they might be doing better without me, which is not too great. That recent form, that actually could be top of the league if they weren't so bad in those last couple of games. But yeah, there's the Buxton update. Back to Shaun from when this one was actually recorded. If you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. As I said, we'll come back tomorrow, and it will be off the back of the winter break. Fingers crossed. I've found some tactics during a couple of friendlies before we come back, and the games will come back for Holstein Kiel doing quite well away from home. That could be a really good acid test for us there, especially if I've found a good tactic. And then we've got Nuremberg at the start of February as well, so we might come back for those 2 games in the next episode. They'll be tough ones, but hopefully we might have picked up some points in between now and then if I get cooking well for the first time here at Jahn Regensburg. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.